I've done some binging over the holidays. I checked out Black Mirror Season 4. This is a show created by Charlie Brooker. It used to be on Channel 4 in the UK, and of course there was a partnership with Netflix. Netflix has taken on exclusivity with Black Mirror. It's kind of like a modern-day Twilight Zone. It's an anthology series, so every episode in this show, through all 4 of its seasons, is distinct, and it's a different group of filmmakers that are usually involved, different cast, different stories. They all deal with our fascination and fears, sometimes very founded fears of technology, and that is absolutely the case with Black Mirror Season 4. 6 episodes in this season. I'm not going to spoil them. I will give you kind of a sprinkling of the sort of overhead view of what each episode is about. I will tell you that I don't encourage you to binge this because it is depressing as hell. Sometimes I feel like the show should be called Bleak Mirror because it just gets so dark. And by the way, I think that this has been trending a little bit on social media, but the idea of Black Mirror is supposed to be around the reflection of our screens, whether it's our phones, our tablets, or our computers when they're off, and how we see ourselves in the reflection of these black mirrors. It's very smart. That is absolutely one of the things that you're going to be able to say about this whole series. It's intelligent, it's topical, and it deals with things that are sort of ruminating in all of our lives because we are all addicted to these shiny gadgets. Black Mirror Season 4 has got some really outstanding work. I think one of the hot episodes is the USS Callister episode, which deals with this unbelievable technologist that has created a way to impart people's physical attributes into a game state, and he has this massively multiplayer online spacefaring adventure game, and a sliver of it he kind of creates in the model of a Star Trek-like universe based around this spaceship called the USS Callister. He embodies the role of this captain, and he sort of commands all of the people that are on his ship, which are based on real-life counterparts within his office, to do some crazy things, and he kind of traps them in this alternate universe. And the effects and the stylish kind of production around this episode are incredible. Also, all of the performances. The lead actor you've seen in tons of things like Breaking Bad and stuff. He kind of has like a Matt Damon kind of quality to him, but everybody is fantastic in the USS Callister episode, and it certainly deals with our addictions to video games and escapism in the digital space out there. That is a fantastic episode on multiple levels. I think the reason why the Callister episode is such a standout is that there's so many Star Trek fans out there, and Star Trek is really hot right now with Discovery and the Orville, so it's kind of fun to see this, kind of, it's 60s-esque Star Trek with some modern-day kind of effects, and a real sense of humor as well. There's almost like a Galaxy Quest type streak in this. It's dark, but very cool.
Welcome aboard.
Archangel is another episode, and this one was actually directed by Jodie Foster, and it deals with a mother's use of technology to be the ultimate hovering parent. She can actually kind of invade her kid's privacy and look through her eyes and kind of see what she's doing, her daughter, what she's doing throughout her entire life. And it's freaky, and it deals with, massive privacy issues and overprotective parenting, and just the way that we can kind of attach some kind of sensors to things in our lives right now and just observe them and watch them, and whether that can be a good thing or an absolutely outstandingly awful thing, which is really explored to some powerful effects in this episode.
Sure it is.
We've also got an episode that deals with the ultimate in internet-style dating apps, where it's almost Logan's Run-esque, where people are kind of predetermined by this system that they have put themselves into, where the program decides how long each pairing is going to last. And it's all automated, and we basically follow this couple who come together at the beginning of the episode, and they're fantastic actors, very charming script. This was one of my favorite of the 6 episodes, maybe because it wasn't quite as bleak. It deals with some pretty heavy themes, but there was a sense of humor about it and a lighter touch. And I also really love the performers, fantastic actors in this episode. It's called Hang the DJ. And basically, we see these 2 characters come together, and then they're separated by this machine learning, by this automated assistant, this coach. And then they get thrust together with a whole bunch of, no pun intended, with a whole bunch of other partners through the course of the episode. And you see them going through varying degrees of elation and misery as they they are discovering whether or not they're meant to be with these partners. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was fun, it was cool, there's some surprising twists, and it's also frightening because we, live in an age where we can kind of swipe to the left and swipe to the right and find our mutual attractions, which is insane.
Oh, fucking hell.
One of the episodes is called Black Museum, and this deals with some really heavy stuff in here. And this again is about a little bit of mind control, picking up a little bit from the themes that we saw in Jordan Peele's fantastic Get Out. There is some really spooky stuff in here about being able to kind of take a consciousness and move it somewhere and let it inhabit stuff. And we see this crazy business person that has figured out a way to kind of monetize this, and to varying degrees. He's an established business person that has worked up the executive ranks, and then opts to create this museum that shows the darkest manifestations of what this kind of consciousness manipulation might mean. And we follow this protagonist who comes to explore the dark aspects of this black museum. And I'm not going to, spoil anything there, but it's almost like a separate little mini movie, almost like a separate season unto itself, because there's 3 vignettes in here, and they're all very powerful, very effective, with some heavy stuff to think about.
How long can happiness realistically last, anyhow?
The absolute bleakest episode in the season is almost too much to stomach. I mean, I just couldn't believe what I was watching. This deals with this woman and this man that get embroiled in this crazy controversy. They're young partiers at the beginning, and they kill somebody by accident as they're driving home from a big rave, and they try to cover it up, but of course this dark crime kind of sticks with everybody, and this woman is haunted by it, and she ends up having to do some just unbelievable, unspeakable, awful stuff throughout the episode. And the whole time I was watching it, I mean, it's gruesome because they don't really have to pull any punches. They can show a lot of these crimes that are committed in full gory detail. But I was looking at this show through fingers like that, and it just made me feel awful. It was just gross. And basically what they're examining here technology-wise, and it's kind of, a loosely strung together plot this way. It's barely touching on this technology stuff, but it's all about being able to tap into people's recollections through these brain nodes, and they stick them on people's heads, and they can kind of examine what they witnessed, even if it was an inadvertent crime or something like that. And so we dig into the storytelling that way, and of course things just get stickier and awful, and that episode was just hard to stomach, I gotta tell you that.
Private stuff is private stuff.
My favorite episode out of the 6-part series, and I don't know if this is going to be everybody's favorite, but I just thought it was really, really well produced. It's called Metalhead, and it dealt with the idea of a dystopian future where I think machines have taken over, and we've seen that kind of story play out in tons of different media before. And basically we see a bunch of these survivors, these stragglers who are trying to, take whatever they can from the remains of humanity, and they enter this kind of warehouse type of environment, and they accidentally activate this robotic dog, this artificially intelligent dog that puts a tracker on people and then pursues them at any cost. This episode is shot in black and white, and it looked amazing. Very sharp details, really well, orchestrated, beautiful cinematography. It was very effective, very powerful, and it's mostly wordless. There isn't a lot of dialogue in this episode. It's really the chase, and it's so scary. This little tiny robot dog that is relentless, and you sometimes see from the perspective of the dog as well, and it's kind of scanning the environment and just stops at nothing to go and get his prey. It, reminds you of Terminator for sure, fused with a little bit of a Walking Dead kind of vibe. And the thing that's scary is that we see these things coming out of DARPA all the time. We see these robot dogs that can actually run and leap and do backflips and things like that. And then you can kind of piece together that, yeah, pretty soon there's going to be autonomous little creatures like this running around that are weaponized, and it's scary as hell. And yeah, I was on the edge of my seat. It's the shortest episode. It's only 40 minutes. I thought it was fantastic. I really loved that episode.
My guess is it's still operational.
Like I say, Black Mirror is pretty incredible filmmaking. If you've ever been a fan of shows like The Twilight Zone or Outer Limits, I think you owe it to yourself to check this series out. Season 4 is very, very solid. I don't know if these are the best episodes. They're all kind of starting to blur now. I've seen so many of these episodes. You do, even though you don't want to binge them, particularly this season, because it's going to knock you out with its horror and depression, it's hard not to keep watching these things because they're so well made. I enjoyed my experience with this thing, but I need to now watch some lighter stuff, some cartoons with my kid or something like that, because this was heavy, but so exceptionally well made. Good job, Netflix and Charlie Brooker and company. I'm going to give Black Mirror Season 4 8.5 out of 10.